My name is Blake LeVine, and this is the book I've written titled Beating Bipolar. In this educational audio, I want to talk about what it means to say that you have bipolar disorder. So, the first thing to understand is that this is a medical condition. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person or there's flaw in your character or that you are going to automatically get better on your own. The first step is to find someone that can do an assessment to give you a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. If you have one, this is usually first done with seeing what's known as a psychiatrist. This is a medical doctor trained to understand the different perspectives when it comes to dealing with bipolar disorder. They'll do an interview with you where they will assess a lot of different factors. They'll talk about family history, if anyone in your family had a mental illness. They'll also ask you about your sleep patterns. They will talk to you about your behaviors, and they will do their best to figure out if you do have bipolar disorder. Now, when they say bipolar, there's several different things to understand and learn. One of them is that mania is often a large part of bipolar disorder. When someone is manic, it can come across as them speaking very fast. They can also spend large amounts of money. Maybe someone has a modest income and they go out there and they shop and buy very expensive designer clothes, or they take trips to exotic places when they can't afford to do so. There often is gambling where they'll try to win large amounts of money even though they can't afford to handle the losses. So this is part of what it means to be manic. And it can be very dangerous. For example, people can drive extremely fast. Let's say the speed limit is 50, they might do 80, 90, or 100, and that can put them and those they're driving with in danger. They also can do behaviors that are risky. For example, some men or women that are normally pretty calm in their sexual behaviors can become aggressive. They can also sometimes have multiple partners, and this can, of course, be a problem if they're in a relationship. So these are a number of reasons why mania can be quite severe, and it's very important, even if you feel good, that you do go seek help. Another part of mania is that many that experience it say, hey, I feel strong, I feel excited, I feel energized, and it's always good to have energy, but if it's at the point that you are manic and that it's dangerous, that can be a big issue. I now want to talk about the other part of bipolar disorder, and that is depression. So oftentimes someone with bipolar can swing from manic and then go into depression. When they are depressed, they can stay in bed. They may no longer connect with friends or family. They may be struggling to have social interactions. You may find that they're only involved in their computer or in music, and they won't actually be around other people. Another part is if they had been working before, sometimes they will no longer have an interest in work. They'll become lazy and they won't be able to sometimes get out of bed. And people have said to me, why is depression so severe? And the true problem is that many times people with bipolar that become depressed can think about ending their lives, and oftentimes they actually do commit suicide. So it is for that reason that if you have bipolar disorder, it does have to be treated. You have to get help, and then you can hopefully move forward. I want to also share a little bit about the process of if someone has bipolar and they're scared to get help, what it actually would mean. So let's say you go see a psychiatrist and they determine that you have bipolar. There are different types. So one type of bipolar is known as bipolar disorder 1. There's another type called bipolar 2. There's other things like cyclothymia. And part of this is talking to a psychiatrist. You can ask them to explain exactly what your diagnosis is and what the justification for the reason they have given it to you. They often then will prescribe medicine. So there's all types of different medicines that are used to treat this illness. Some help your mood to be calmer if you're towards mania. If you're depressed, sometimes they do give medicine to help bring you back to the middle, but they do have to be careful to make sure that you don't go into mania. Sometimes they use several medicines as a combination, and usually they'll try you on some type of medicine and try for a few weeks to see how it impacts you. And part of the issue with bipolar is that every brain reacts differently. So I've been stable for almost 20 years and I take a medicine, but what works for me might not work for you. And I might have a different outcome of the treatment than you would. So for this reason, it's usually a trial and error where you do attempt different medicines and they try to find the right one. On top of that, they often refer you to a therapist. So this can be a social worker or a psychologist, and that person will do talk therapy where they'll work to look at issues in your life. So are you having financial issues? Are you having relationship problems, struggling in school or work? And the therapist will try to help you learn how to manage what you're experiencing mentally. It's often through talk therapy. They do things like cognitive behavioral therapy, where they help you to look at things differently, change your behaviors, sometimes find more optimism. And the real reality, because I've lived with this illness for a long time, and it was so bad that I was hospitalized about 5 times when I was first diagnosed, it gets better. And if you get help and you work at it. I have in my own life, I'm married for 10 years. I'm going to celebrate my 10-year wedding anniversary in a few weeks. I have a beautiful daughter who's 7. I have a beautiful son who's 2. I have many friends. I've written 5 or 6 books. And there are a lot of people like me that are out there that are succeeding and accomplishing a lot despite a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. So I want to share that if you have a concern, the next step is to find a doctor in your area. If money's an issue, there's often clinics where they'll give you free help. And at the worst case, if you can't find a doctor, any hospital will allow someone that's really in a rough place to go in and get treatment if there's no other option or it's really severe. So I want to thank you for watching this. You might want to check out my book, Beating Bipolar. It's available on all the bookstores, including Barnes & Noble and Amazon. I have a new book coming out in 2017 called The Depression Diet, and my website, which you see below, Bipolar Online. It's a free magazine sharing articles, and I also do a one-on-one coaching program. So thank you so much. I wish you a great day, and please know if you have bipolar, it's not the end of the world, but seeking help is the best step, and you can go do that to move forward. Thank you so much. You have a great day.